And welcome, everybody. This is Pastor Sherman, and this is Christ and Culture. I want to welcome you all to the broadcast today. Hope everybody's doing well. Been a crazy week, and I know if you're like me, you've probably been keeping up with it. And you're going, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe that that things are going as nutty as they possibly are." But they really are. But here's the cool thing, guys. God is still on the throne, right? Yes, he's still on the throne, so we really don't have anything to worry about. Yeah, we see crazy things going on, but you know what? It is what it is, right? What are you going to do about that? So for those of you, this might be your first time checking out the show. I'm Pastor Sherman, and this is Christ and Culture, and we come to you on a weekly basis, talk to you about what's going on in the blogosphere, what might be going on, stuff like that. And so we hope that you're able to join us. We also have a YouTube channel, and our YouTube channel is always available. And you can just go to Christ and Culture. So we're at Christ and Culture. You can check that out. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go there right now and make sure the show is up, and it looks like it's running. And you can get involved in the conversation and let all your friends know that Christ and Culture is up and running. Or if you don't want to do that, you can write to us at Christ and Culture Show. You got to write it all the way out. Christ and Culture Show at gmail.com. That's Christ and Culture Show at gmail.com. Also, a little more housekeeping here. You can write to us. Go online at Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can actually check us out on Godstream TV. Is there anything else that we're involved in? No, that's about it. I guess so. Oh, also, speaking about Godstream TV, that we got a new show up, guys. I got a brand new show up, and it's called In God We Still Trust. So it's In God We Still Trust. It's fantastic. I'm so excited about that. We've been adding more shows to the Godstream TV lineup, and we'll tell you more about that a little bit later. But let's before we get too far down the road here, let's bring on our co-host on the show is Pastor Tommy Allums. Pastor Tommy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Pastor Sherman. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Yeah, just doing great. Hey, and Pastor Tommy, you and I got to go out this weekend.
Yes. And before I forget, my daughters told me to tell you that, first of all, hi, and that they both, my wife and my daughter, really appreciated the time that we spent in the fellowship and the food.
Oh yeah, the food was good too. Oh yeah. We went out to a little Thai food, which was great, and as always, your family's just delightful folks, and just love being with them. And if I had to have another daughter, she'd be the one. There's no doubt about it. She definitely would be the one that I would have. She's just a delightful kid. And can't wait to do it again. We got to do this again. We got to make this kind of a regular thing.
We have to do it again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things going on in the world today, folks, and this is I don't know. I just don't know. Should we even get in? You don't even want to talk about it. You just want to just spend some time and talk, but we have to, because people need to know what's going on in the world. I think let's start with and maybe get into this really early. Is about over the weekend that we had Israel. Israel bombed Iran. And this was there was a foretelling of this with President Trump, because all of a sudden he said, "Hey guys, everybody who's living in who's out of the country, we need you guys to come on home. You get out of the Middle East." And people go, "Well, why should everybody get out of the Middle East?" He goes, "Well, it's kind of a dangerous place down there, right?" Because it's just kind of a dangerous place. And then like 20 hours later, 12 hours later, all of a sudden you hear that there's this bombing in Iran, and Israel unleashed the hounds on them. Not only did that, but they also killed a lot of and these were the news reports, it just kept coming in and in, that Israel killed most of the top level staff folks, generals, scientists, and bombs, everything else. And now we're like in day 5 something like that now, and it's
I think
getting
it's fine.
worse.
Yeah.
It's getting worse where Israel has air supremacy. They President Trump said something very interesting. He said to the Ayatollah, he said, "Well, we know where you're at. We know how you hang out, and we could probably kill you right now, but you're safe right now. But we want you to have an unconditional surrender." Pastor Tommy, we're talking about an unconditional surrender in the Middle East. When you see stuff like this happen, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Israel, Iran, the whole thing of this bombing in the Middle East.
The first thing that comes to mind is end times. The
Mm-hmm.
last moments of time is literally upon us. It's going to be interesting how this all plays out because China has said that they're going to back Iran. Russia says that they're going to back Iran.
Mm-hmm.
And, according to the prophets of today, they think that Gog and Magog represents Russia to come down from the north, just like it talks about in Revelation. So
Mm-hmm.
um, to see it actually beginning to play out is amazing because this was written 2,000 years ago. And there was a time when Israel wasn't even a nation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden these things are playing out. So that's the first thing I think of as end times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely end times for sure. This was probably one of the most surprising things that has ever happened, where we see because up until now nobody would mess with Iran because Iran had they've got missiles, they've got air, they got planes, but Israel said that they had been planning this for 10 years, that they were going to do all these things. And one of the things, and we'll just kind of get into the kind of the tactical thing of it, and then we'll get into the spiritual thing of it, is that they were saying that they had positioned the Mossad, the IDF, and members of the military. They had them positioned well in advance of this, so they were already behind the lines already. Because if you look at a map of the Middle East, it's Israel, right, and then you have Jordan, and then you have Iraq, and then you have Iran. So there's a lot of space in between Israel, which is about this big, compared to Iran, which is huge, right? They say that you can fit 70 Israels into Iran. That's how big it is.
Yeah.
But it didn't take them more than 15 minutes. I mean, to decimate them, and that's the hand of God. I mean, that is definitely
Yes.
the hand of God. Somebody even made the mention of the Book of Esther.
Yes.
That
I've seen that.
that the last time you saw that there was a move afoot to kill all of the Jews was in the Book of Esther, because Persia, Iran, same thing, and you know how that ended up. And so this was huge. I mean, Pastor Tommy, when you think of, now you're a military guy. I mean, let's talk military, and then we'll talk about the spiritual aspect of this. Tactically wise, is this like the most brilliant thing that could have ever happened, or did God had to be in this, or something had to happen? You tell me.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, God is in it,
Mm-hmm.
but the intelligence and the brilliance of spying by Israel and the Mossad just is mind-boggling to me.
Mm.
You know, there. I don't know if you remember. It was about 5 months ago. They suspected one of the top generals in the Iraqi army was Israeli, and then all of a sudden he disappeared.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was right after they killed the spokesperson, where they put the bomb under his bed. But the brilliance is just amazing to create a company. This was for Hezbollah, to create a company to make pagers and sell them to the enemy and then wait 10 years to blow them up. That's incredible.
That is incredible, you know? And yeah, it, they said the Mossad had, because they had drones too, right? So they had the drones. Drones were already in Iran the whole time. And because there's a huge space between Israel and they wanted the element of surprise and they wanted it immediate. But here's the interesting thing about it is the way they got all of their top generals, top staff people together. And people were saying, well, how did you get all these people? Because you're thinking to yourself, well, they must have, done something amazing. And they go, no, we called them. So they called them for a meeting and they got them all to go into one place. Can you imagine this? These guys are all thinking, oh, we're all good. We're all safe. We're all safe in our little tents and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden this missile comes dropping in on you and they wipe out all these people all at the same time. It's just simply amazing. I'm looking at now the Ayatollah. Many of us probably have probably heard about these guys. This mystery guy who's the leader of Iran, but this guy's 86 years old, and the president, Donald Trump, our president, the U.S. president, basically said, look, you need to step down. You need to end this because this isn't going to end well for you. As a matter of fact, even Israel said the same thing. They said, you know what? The same thing that happened to you, the same thing that happened to a couple of other guys in the Middle East is going to happen to you. This needs to stop. It needs to happen immediate. But when I last checked, which is probably about 15 minutes ago, Iran had just sent another volley of intercontinental ballistic missiles into Israel, and I don't. So, what do you think? Do you think they're going to give up, or do you think they're going to go down in a hail of bullets?
No, I don't think they're going to give up because they're in for the fight. They have said vocally, loudly, many times before that they want to wipe Israel off the face of the map. Mm-hmm. They're going to destroy Israel. They're going to destroy the United States. United States being the big Satan, Israel being the little Satan. That is their plan. That is their goal, and they're not going to give up. Think about this. These are people who are willing to blow themselves up to get what they want. So giving up is not an option for them. I think right now that President Trump is actually being pretty smart about this in the fact that he is using that Muslim cleric Khomeini. He's using him as a pawn. Look, we've killed everybody that surrounds you. We know exactly where you are. Give up.
Yeah.
Right. And so that puts an immense amount of pressure on him because he seems like a scary guy anyway to me. I mean, he doesn't seem. No, really, he doesn't seem like a big. He's not a Trump. Put it that way. Mm-hmm. He might talk bull, but he's not someone to back up. And there's history of Iran saying, outlandish things, and they never did it. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and then now, just like now, we're gonna come back hard. Now they're, can you stop Israel? Can you stop? Can we get a peace agreement going? So that's my point, and I'm glad to see that Israel is saying, you know what, we're not gonna stop because you said that you were gonna kill us.
Yeah.
If someone came to you and said, hey, I'm gonna kill you, what would you do?
I know.
What would you be forced to do?
That's it. Well, really, what can you do now? Because really, the way this thing is set up, and you said this before, the way that Iran feels about them, they're, to the river to the sea, the anti-Semitism that they are sworn to. Even the people in the Middle East don't like Iran because they know what's going to happen. And if Israel does not, end this regime, they are going to probably end up, Iran will probably get a nuclear bomb because that's just the way it is. They're that close. Right now, I believe we're still trying to, Israel is still trying to coax America into allowing them to have our bunker busting, deep penetrating missile bomb to get at this one nuke site, because that's really where all this stuff is going to be made at. And even if they leave them one, that's enough for them to actually continue on. This is gonna be a story that's gonna go probably for at least the next couple of days, and I hope that'd be great if it was over tomorrow, but it's probably not. Let's go on to something that happened this weekend. This weekend we had the observance of the 250th birthday of the Army, and which is just wonderful. And uh, the same day that the president actually celebrated his birthday, which is very interesting. And also, Democrats found that they just couldn't have a good thing happen, and so they planned a march called the No Kings Day. And the No Kings Day was to say, hey, guess what? It's a thumb, a finger, I guess, in the eye of President Trump, who was also celebrating his birthday. And they were saying, well, the only reason why you're having this military parade and the observance of the Army is because it's your birthday. And so all across the United States, there was this two opposing things. One was celebrating the Army. The other one was celebrating, this No King's Day. Pastor Tommy, what were your thoughts on this whole debacle, this storm?
You know, I don't know. It's hard to imagine what people are thinking sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to figure out why they think that President Trump sees himself as a king. I don't. I don't know
I
what
don't
that
know.
is. Maybe it's just too much masculinity, and
I
they
think
don't know how to
that's it.
receive it.
They are just it just scares them. It scares them every time Trump comes in the room, and so they just get kind of sideways on it. But I don't know. Good. But you served in
Yeah.
the military. I mean, you were Air Force, all right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, and so I mean, so go Army, go Navy, that kind of stuff. But
Hmm.
that aside, what did I mean? The whole observance of our, because the military, the Army is the oldest institution we have in the country.
Yeah.
If it
Yeah.
were not, here's the thing about it: if it not been for the Army, we would have a king. But because there was an Army, we don't have a king. So
Right.
they were both celebrating the same thing.
Yeah. 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 And then, without that army, there would be no Air Force because it literally started out as the Army Air Force.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I
It
did not.
the it was the aircraft portion of the army. So at the beginning of the Air Force, it was a part of the army, and then it eventually separated.
Oh, okay. Well, this was an interesting thing. I mean, you had people that were upset. You had the Hulk out there. You had all these speakers that were out there, and they were just kind of going crazy. And this came off the heels, which is still going on as far as I know, all the L.A. riots, the L.A., the Colorado, New York. These riots all
Las
over the place.
Vegas.
Las Vegas. We had some people here in Las Vegas where people were saying, "Hey, we don't want to see this. We don't want to see people who are here illegally taken out of the country." Um, I just here's there's a spiritual thing that's going on in our nation. I mean, this really is very spiritual, where we have and we talked about this before, and I know we're talking about it at our church, is there's generational curses that are at work, and there's spiritual force that we're fighting against the people. We're fighting against. It seems to us like we're fighting against flesh and blood, but there's actually a spiritual war that's going on right here. And I think, I mean, speak to that, Pastor Tommy. I mean, what do you think is the spiritual component that's actually at work right now in this country? Because we've got these warring factions, but we're fighting against flesh and blood, but that's not really where our battle is at.
You're right. You're right. I've actually been teaching on the kingdom for the last few months, and in Matthew 24, it talks about kingdom against kingdom. In the last days, there will be kingdoms against kingdoms. And Jesus said one thing too. He said, a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. I personally think that what we're seeing spiritually is the division, whether it's race division, political division, church division. I've never seen so many videos where one church is bashing another church, this pastor talking bad about this pastor. I've never seen this much division in the United States before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what it is, just like you said, it's not people, but it is literally kingdom against kingdom. And they're trying to divide for a purpose. What that purpose is, I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that the Bible talks about a one world government at the end. So my thoughts are that this division is to separate people so that we can be overtaken. Because if you divide friends, right,
Mm-hmm.
that friendship is gone. There's no unity there. And so I just think that it's the enemy's plan to divide and conquer. That's where we get that from. Divide and conquer.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think you're right. I think also in America we started out as a nation, and I was reading this really interesting book, and it was Larry Huck. And we've talked about this before. Larry Huck's got a book on generational curses and removing those generational curses, and how America, when we first got here, the first Christians who came here, that they spent the formative years of this country kicking out that spirit. There was a spirit of paganism. There had these, the native people that were here. They didn't worship Jesus. They worshiped trees and rocks and whatever else and animals. But there was and we swept the nation clean, right? But along the way, over the last couple of hundred years, we've allowed a spirit to come back. And what does the word say? It says, yeah, that spirit goes away, right? And it goes away. It's kind of hanging out there. It comes back, and it finds the house swept clean, and nothing is there now, because now we're at what they call as a post-Christian, era. And what happens? He goes, hey, buddies, come on, you guys. Let's bring 7 more of you guys with us. And now we're seeing the sins of the fathers. We're seeing that, and the sins of the fathers, a lot of the stuff that we just never took care of, abortion, sexual immorality, thievery, all this other stuff. Now we're seeing all this stuff just bubbling and conjuring all over the place until what we got right now. I'll tell you, this country has got a spiritual mojo, just at the least. It's just got a spiritual thing going on.
Yeah, I think, and I've said this before, I think we have a short window as the body of Christ to get that turned around. But it's going to take 2 Chronicles 7, verse 14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves, pray, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and heal their land. That's what we need. We need healing in the land. But it takes humility first.
Yeah, and I think so. We really, if my people are called by my name, we've got to do this. There's no way around it. For those of you might just be watching the show for the first time, I'm Pastor Sherman. This is Pastor Tommy, and this is Christ&Culture. We're talking about some of the things that we're seeing happening in the culture right now, folks. And I hope you're like us. You're saying to yourself, man, we're having problems. Why are these things going on? Well, we're here hopefully to bring some attention to that, and maybe if we're really, if we're very fortunate, we'll get some people praying with us. We'll get some people who are not just praying, but doing also, getting out there in the marketplace and starting to hopefully make things happen here. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, I'm going to go ahead and take a look over at our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to get on the conversation, just go ahead and on our YouTube channel and go ahead and hit that, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to our YouTube channel. On Facebook, we'd love to join us on Facebook, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. Oh, and don't forget Godstream TV. Would love to hear from you. Pastor Tommy, there was other things. There's so much stuff went on. I mean, it really did. Let's talk about something that I think is in Texas. There was a interesting thing that happened in Texas over the weekend. This is an SRN news story. Uh, Killeen, I guess it would be Killeen Independent School District, has agreed to stop barring students, get this, from evangelizing during non-instructional time. The case centered on a girl who's been handing out small slips of paper bearing Bible verses. We used to call this tracts or chick tracts. She's handing out tracts to her classmates during recess. The principal confiscated the slips and the girl's Bible and her Bible and threatened to punish her if she did it again. You better stop that evangelizing, girl. What are you, Catherine Coleman, or what? Who are you? Attorneys for the American Center for Law and Justice went to bat for the student. Guys, this is an amazing story, Pastor Tommy. Where has America gotten to, where a school now a principal in, of all places, Texas? Okay, Texas is a red state. Texas is a very conservative state, but unfortunately, in this particular school district, they don't like the fact that these kids are actually handing out tracts. I bet you they'd be very upset even if they were reading, like the Decalogue either. And worse than that, following the Ten Commandments. Well, give me your thoughts on this.
The first question I have is I wonder how old that girl is. They mentioned recess, so she couldn't have been too old. Just imagine, hopefully her parents taught her about persecution. But Texas is a place we got to keep in prayer because it's not as red as most people think. Texas is a place where there is a huge Muslim community that wants to build a Muslim city under Sharia law. So, and I've been to Texas and I've seen the population. Um, Here's something else that I thought about too. While it is a good thing not to persecute little children and take their Bibles from little kids going to recess, that's traumatic enough. But if if there's other religions out there, what kind of message are they going to get out of this? And so we have to be prepared for that too, because if they're going to allow the Bible, you can believe the Satan worshipers are going to come, the Quran is going to come, and we just got to be ready for that.
There we go. Okay, I keep thinking back to the founding fathers. Oh, my microphone's off. Sorry. I keep thinking back to the founding fathers. That when our nation was first founded, the only way you learned to read the study books that you used, they didn't have social study books. They didn't have math books. They didn't have English books. They had a Bible. That's how you learned how to read.
Yep.
I was reading a story. I mean, it's just remarkable about some of our founding fathers. That one of them, John Adams, I believe it was already he was already in Harvard when he was like 12 or 13 years of age.
Yeah.
And they said, guess what? You don't need to bring any other books in for kids to learn from. All these
Right.
these books they've got, these civics books, you can learn it all from the Bible. Because our founding fathers, that's how they learned everything. And while you learned those things, guess what? You got life lessons. You got lessons
Right.
on life. So now we're 2025, 250 years later, they're banning some child from even having reference to the Bible. The very thing that our nation is built upon. This is crazy. I don't know if we're in La La Land. This is like, it really, I'm wondering, what would George Washington, what would John Adams, what would Thomas Jefferson, all those guys who say they say are deists, what would they be saying right now if all of a sudden they came back to America and they read a story like this? What do you think they would say?
I would think they would be just like John the Baptist. Repent.
They'd be pulling their wigs off and throwing them on the ground. gosh.
Yes.
This is a um, the Bible says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." Right? They perish.
Yep.
They go astray because we don't have the knowledge. Um, we don't, and I think, for shame on this principle. Shame on him because he doesn't even know his history.
Yeah.
He doesn't know his history enough to know that, oh, by him doing that, even if he felt that, or maybe he did feel that way. Maybe he just felt that way. Maybe he knew his history, but he said, "I don't care about my history. I don't like Jesus."
Yeah. And we have so many people in the education system that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
And their whole intent and goal is to corrupt the minds of little children. That
Mm-hmm.
might sound like a conspiracy theory, but you work in a school, I'm sure you see,
Oh yeah.
you know, and yeah. So we definitely need to pray for our kids for
Uh,
sure.
it's getting hot in here.
Yeah.
I'm just, I'll tell you, that's why the ACLJ, and and if you folks, if you don't support any other cause, you don't support your local church, support the American Center for Law and Justice, because they go to bat for cases just like this, and we need these things. Yes, we want to pray. There's no doubt about it. We've got to pray for our nation. But practically speaking, in addition to prayer, we need to have lawyers, law people out there who are fighting that good fight for you. Because I think just to bring this up, just to bring up to these there's precedent here. I mean,
Yes.
there's definitely precedent here. That guy, guess what? Having that Bible, that's pretty much basic in American. And I'm going to allude a lot to American history now, because now my big push is American history, right? is that that is really what our founding fathers basically said. If you take the Bible out of our society, you cease to have America.
Yeah. Yeah, you just said there's a scripture that says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge."
Mm-hmm.
The enemy knows that.
Yeah.
So his whole goal is to take the knowledge out for the little kids,
Mm-hmm.
so that when they grow up, there you go. They're free game for him.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. And I'll tell you, if that kid doesn't know anything, and I think that's part of why the problems we have. I wonder if this principal even realizes that he is part of the problem. He should
Or
be
like
thinking.
he said, he doesn't care.
Well, he should care. If he doesn't care about anything else, right? He doesn't have to get these kids saved, right? But the precepts in the Word, okay? Honor your father and mother. There used to be a time when that was a sentence by death. You don't honor your father and your mother,
Yes.
you're gonna get
Yes.
killed, right? Right?
Yeah.
That was it.
I grew up under that.
Yeah, that was it, right? That was, you got killed every week. That's right? Yep, right? The reason why there is crime in school, the reason why there is all these problems in our is because you took the Bible out of the public square. And now he works in a school. He should know. He should think, man, I think I'm going to let these kids pray. I think I'm going to let these kids get together, and because you know what, this is going to be the best thing for my kids in school. But it seems to me like he wants there to be division, like he wants there to be crime, and this is another tool. If he doesn't even believe in Jesus, right? He's thinking it's another tool in my belt. Okay, I may not believe in it, but it works, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Amazing. This is an amazing time we're in right now, folks. I mean, it really is. There's another story. Let's move on to something else here. There's a story here at the AP. This is an AP story, and it's about abortion. And this is a great thing that we can actually kind of look back on and go, hey, this might be a great thing that's going on in the nation. I'm sorry. AP story is abortion clinics are closing even in states where abortion is legal. This is interesting. The abortion funding system across the U.S. is battered 3 years after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in the Dobbs decision. Initial surge of donations has subsided. Scores of clinics have closed, and advocates fear that federal policy changes will result in more shutting down. Okay, and here's the interesting thing about it, and I'm going to skip down a little bit, that even in places where they have bans on the on abortions, abortions are still going up, but the number of clinics are actually closing all over the place. And this is an interesting thing. Bans in some states means travel has become a bigger part of obtaining an abortion, and they're having more and more costs. The thing that I think is very interesting about this, Pastor Tom, is that all of these places where we see these bans on abortions, bans on, and that the abortion clinics, who they say they're Planned Parenthood, they're planning for your families. Their main thing is actually abortions. That's what their main thing is. They want to kill as many babies as they can. And it looks like right now that the numbers are still going up. Even though the Dobbs decision came by, and now people all across the nation, you can have state by state, they can say whether or not they're going to have abortions. The number of abortions has gone up, but I think I think that number is going to turn around. I really do. I think it's going to turn around because people are going to start thinking to themselves, you know what? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but give me I want your take on this, Pastor Ron. What do you think is going to happen?
It could go either way, and we can't always rely on the data that we get. Mm-hmm. But if they're going to continue to shut down those clinics and force people to drive farther, it may slow it down a little bit. That we may see that number come down, or it just may cause people to want to flood the system, because we got some rebellious people that they just want to rebel, and so it may cause an influx of people to go to different counties or states where they can get it done. We'll just have to kind of see, but again, we're not dealing with the root cause. Mm-hmm. Stop what you're doing.
Yeah, sure.
Then you wouldn't have the problem.
Yeah, but it's I think it's, what is causing people to seek abortions? It's not as though people don't love their kids or don't love kids, but that spirit about them now that it makes it so easy for them to go ahead and do this and to kill. I think it might have come back to something that happened to them, something that might happen in their family. Is it something that happened a long time ago, and now they're, is there a spirit of death that has been following them around? Because otherwise, normal people are seeking abortions. I mean, why are they seeking abortions if there's no money reason? Because now they can pay $1,000, $2,000 to go have a baby. I mean, why are they doing this?
You bring up a good point. You mentioned generational curses. Mm-hmm. That could be it too. Just not having the education, and my mom did it before me, and my aunt did it, and everybody in my family did it, and this is just a way of life, and that's mm-hmm. sad to say that some places it's just a way of life. You do mm-hmm. this, and if this happens, then go to Planned Parenthood and take care of it. That's crazy, because that is actually a saying. Go take care of it.
Go take care
of it.
Right? Yeah.
That means that's on their mind. It's like a backup. So if this happens, then we'll take care of it. And so, mm-hmm. There's a lot of things at work there. Like you said,
you mentioned something. You mentioned something about that kids grow up this way. My assistant at the school I work with had a conversation with these young girls. So we're talking about girls 13, 14 years of age. We're not talking about seasoned kids, 17, right. 18 years of age, hardcore teenagers. Okay, these are brand new teenagers, And she had a conversation with them, and it got on to babies and stuff like that. And these little girls told her that they were going to have their babies at about 16 years of age. And she told me, as I went, oh my, what do you mean? They go, oh yeah. They said, my mom had me at 16, and she ended up fine. So it should be fine for me too. Wow. This is generation after generation after generation. Monkey see, monkey do.
There you go.
You add to this equation, right? The things that these kids see on TV. The things that they see on TV are, video games. Well, one life. You get 3 lives. Oh, it's good. I lost a life. I can have another one. Okay, all right. And they have this mentality that none of this is real. That everything's going to be fine. Oh, it's going to be all right. There's no consequences to anything I do. They don't realize that they're being programmed. And they're being programmed spiritually, emotionally, physically. They're being programmed to be desensitized to a glorious gift, right? I mean, the glorious gift of life, right? I mean, you've got kids. Folks, if you want to meet a wonderful little girl, that's Pastor Tommy's daughter, right? I can't imagine him going, you go and sit over in that corner. I don't want here. Just go ahead and play with that, that video game and get out of my hair. This is the most precocious, and I shouldn't even say precocious. She's not even precocious. She's just a sweet kid, that you just, you want to take her with you. You know what I mean? But these kids, they don't want that at all. They want to have a kid, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to take an iPad, give it to that child, sit them in the corner. Right?
Oh, I hate to see that. Yeah, I hate to see that. You mentioned something. You said, parents don't love their parents love their kids. So I wonder sometimes if parents really do love their kids, because I hear the way some parents talk to their kids, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, do you love that kid?
Sure.
I've heard parents say, I hate you to a kid. What? Oh my gosh, that kid's in trouble.
Kid's in trouble. It really is. But they're kids raising kids. That parent probably is only about 10 years older than that kid. Right?
No, that's
right?
Crazy.
Might as well be their older brother, right? And they don't. Just so much going on. We definitely have to pray for these folks, because we're living in a time where I think we're reaping the benefits. We're reaping the fruit of the stuff that happened before us, and which means something we did. Something. Now I'm much older, so I'm a little older than Pastor Tommy. I may not look it, of course. I'm just because I have got good genes, right? But generation after generation, we're seeing the fruit of that prior generation. And in my generation was the hippie generation, right? We were the 60s, 70s kids. We didn't care about nothing. We didn't.
Right.
And I was reading in a book, they were saying that, we used to smoke dope, and now our kids, when we did it, it was much later. I mean, it wasn't, I didn't start dabbling in anything like that until I was in high school. And now kids are dabbling in it in middle school and even younger, elementary school. So we're seeing generation after generation after generation of people experimenting, getting pregnant, doing things that the things we see today. Oh my gosh, we would have never. Oh no, and never in 1,000 years would have done that as a kid. There's no way.
Yeah.
Unless we would have gotten the shoe, the belt. Who knows? Other things that might. Right? Death. We'd be dead. Why isn't Tommy at school? Oh, he's dead. He's dead. He said something to his mama. Yeah, he's dead. Yeah. Oh, I understand. Yeah, he got killed. Yes, mama killed him. Yep. And nowadays, these kids come in, they go, and I told my mama that, and I've heard this before. This is just terrible. There was a story, and we don't have a lot of time here, but I wanted to get to this story. There's a singer. Her name is Nezza. Have you ever heard of this girl?
Never heard of her.
Nezza. Nezza. So this girl, she is evidently a singer. She's a Spanish. She's a social media influencer and a singer. She was asked to sing the national anthem, I guess, at a Dodger game. Big thing. This is really pretty big. And they told her that, hey, you need to sing this in English, even though she's. Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh no, I can hear me. Something. Can you not hear me? I'm gonna make sure. So it looks like I can hear you, but you can't hear me. So I'm gonna do this, folks. Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Because it looked like my headset got disconnected. So I'm gonna continue on here. And so evidently this girl decides that she is going to sing at a Dodger game, but she's going to sing the song in Spanish. And they told her not to. And she said, "Oh, okay, I won't sing the song in Spanish. I will sing it in English." And so she gets on the podium and she sings the song in Spanish, and they are just horrified. People are just horrified with it because this is on the heels of the whole immigration thing, and she just so they basically pulled her off, and she says, and then she says she's proud of what she did. She did it because her naturalized parents, now her parents are Spanish, they came here to the United States, they're naturalized citizens. She said, I couldn't imagine my parents being taken out and killed, or taken out and being deported. Her parents are American citizens. They're not going to be deported. And yet she says that she did it for that reason. So Pastor Tommy, I know you're probably reading my lips as I'm speaking here. What are your thoughts on somebody who uses a platform like this, should have sung the song in English, and yet did not do something like this?
You can still hear me? Okay, yeah, I think I got your question. You know, the article said that she lied. First of all, you know, if they were expecting her to sing it in English, she should have sang it in English. But she did it out of spite. Because if she didn't do it out of spite, what she said was, "I'm proud of myself." What is she proud of herself for? For lying to the Dodger Stadium people? If I was Dodger Stadium, she would never come back ever again. And I would probably make some phone calls too, and say, "Hey, probably not bring her back because she was dishonest."
Yeah. I think that's the least they could do is that she's dishonest, because she all of a sudden said that, hey, guess what? I'm going to do something. You know, it makes you wonder. Had she planned on doing that all along? Had she planned on always singing it in Spanish? And once again, they're doing things that are unheard of. These are unheard of things that these people would do. That who would ever come out? This